Shalom. What is it? Parshas Bachukosai, Tafshin Pei Daled. And well, whenever we get to Bachukosai, I mean, any thinking person is presented with some serious philosophical issues, which is the concept of Hashem's anger, which especially as a Baal Tshuva, as a guy who grew up with it, maybe you've just become kind of like, this is what it is. But as a Baal Tshuva, when you come to Torah and you see this for the first time, it's almost unbearable, literally, almost unbearable. Like, why is God like getting angry? Like, why is he screaming and shouting and smiting and all that kind of stuff? Yeah. So hopefully we're going to understand a little bit what it means, the anger of Hashem. And this is the foundation, I suppose, of everything, is the reason why Hashem's anger sounds so ridiculous is because we're egocentric. What that means is that we think the world revolves around us. So, for example, I look at my hand. And well, this is a hand, isn't it? And so when it talks about Hashem's hand, really it's some kind of metaphorical, like, it's not really a hand. I've got a hand. He doesn't really have a hand. He's got like yeah, but we know it's for Keret. It's exactly the opposite. Hashem has a real hand. Yeah, this is just a pretend hand. This is just a symbol of what a hand actually is. Hashem's the one with the real hand. Yeah, this is just this is a make-believe thing. This is just to help us understand what Hashem's hand's like. So Kol Zman, I think this is a hand, and I'm learning from this to understand Hashem's hand. That's called egocentric. I think things are about me, and I will extrapolate from me to him. Yeah, and there is a time and place for that as well. But Liba de MS, we have to understand in truth that what we're doing is we're trying to get to a theocentric experience where God is reality, he's the center, and I'm peripheral, I'm a detail in his reality, which means he has the real hand. So it actually comes out that his anger is real anger. My anger, that's just a tool that I can use to understand his anger. But if my anger's petty, that doesn't mean his anger's petty. If I get angry because I spill the milk, yeah, it doesn't mean he gets angry because he has the milk spilled. It's the mechanism, the concept. You with me? So this is a foundation in Yiddishkeit. And B'Hashgacha, I started a share with Rav Huss this morning, and this is exactly what we spoke about, actually. Okay, so I want to. It's kind of cute, this thing, but we'll get back to this at the end. There's a pasuk just before the Tochochas, the last pasuk before the Chumash jumps into the Im loy tishma'u li v'loy sa'asu es kol mitzvos ha'elu in Bechukosai. If you before the whole rant, if you want to call it that, yeah, kicks off. Hashem says like this: Ani Adonai Eloheichem, I am Hashem your God. So that you can be that you were to them avadim. I freed you from their slavery. The eshbor moitois ulechem, and I broke the moitois ulechem. Now, oil is like what go the yoke. I never heard that word until I became frum, yeah. But the yoke that goes on the shore's back, yeah. The moitois is a very interesting little thing. It's basically a peg. A moit is a peg. What would happen is you would put the wooden thing, the yoke, over the back of the back of the shore, yeah, and you would attach it with like reins or whatever kind of things you'd attach it with. And where the ropes went into the holes of the wood, it wasn't exactly the right fit, yeah? So there's a little bit of space. So you would take these pegs and you would stuff them into the excess space so that the rope was stuck. Yeah. So they were pegs, or you could even call them plugs. Yeah. They plugged in that little space to make sure that the rope was nice and tight or taut. And then the pasuk goes on, Moses ulchem, v'oilech eschem koimamias, and I led you kumamias, upright, standing upright. Rashi says kumamias is kuma zakufa. Shnia, moitas, imakumas, bakuma zakufa, an upright stature. Okay, so just before the toichochas kick off, Hashem gives us that interesting pasuk that I would understand. He says, "I took you out of Mitzrayim, and look at how you look at this now." But he mentions two such interesting things. He said that I will break the moitos ulechem, those funny little wedges. They're wedges. I'm going to break the wedges that were stuck in the oil that you were taken on in Mitzrayim, and I'm going to guide you in an upright with an upright stature. And then he goes into and if you do this, I'm going to do that, and this and v'chule. Okay. So there's a Maimah in Brochas, a Maimah Chazal in Brochas on Daf Vav Amud Beis. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, B'shasha Kodesh Baruch Hu ba b'beis HaKnesses. At the time when the Kodesh Baruch Hu comes to the Beis HaKnesses, V'lo matzah ba'asara, he doesn't find 10 people. Miyad hu koyes. Immediately he gets angry. Why did I come? Ve'ein ish klasi ve'ein oina. There's no one who's going to call in my name, and there's no one who's going to answer. Miyad hu koyes. He comes to shul. There's not 10 people there. He gets immediately angry. Interesting. Yeah. Then there's the pasuk in Mishlei, which is where we learn about davening in a minyan and the idea of having a lot of people davening, which is B'rov Am Hadras Melech, as we know. Yeah. And then it finishes off. It means in the multitude of the people is the glory of the king. And then it finishes with Efes La'oim, and when there is no one, Mechitas Razoin. The chitas is actually like a fire pan. Yeah. There's different translators. It's a very, very all the Meforshim give different like perushim on what this word means. But whatever it is, it's some kind of love dafka. It could also be other things as well. But the main consensus is some kind of metal utensil. And it says it kind of razon, it makes it like weak, or it kind of ruins it. Yeah. So when there's a lot of people, Hashem is glorified. And when there is no one there, then it's like the nation is ruined in a sense. That's what it says. So without a nation, the ruler, the king is ruined. Yeah, that was the translation. And Rashi says, for Mechitas Razoin, Chesron Zoinoisoi, who Kivio, it means there's a lack in his. I don't really know how to translate that, but this is the important point. Who Kiviochu Noisei Mechvoidoi LeElohei Neicha. It's like he's giving his kavod to a foreign god. Umashlit Esa Umos Al Bonov, and the nations dominate over his children. Okay. So the Inyan is this. Why is it that Hashem gets angry when he comes to shul and there's not a minyan there? Why does that make him? What's the Inyan of the minyan? And what's the Inyan? And that's what we're talking about. B'rav am hadras melech. So this is what anger is, and we'll understand how it fits in. So anger on a human level. Well, let's read the Rambam. in Hilchas Shabbos. Okay, it's Hilchas Shabbos, Yud Beis, Halacha Aleph. Yeah, halfway through, talking about when somebody is like breaking something on Shabbos. Yeah, out of anger. This is if he sets fire to someone's what's it called, house or field. Yeah. He cools down his das and he releases his chema. Yeah, it's as if he was like tearing on his maze. Or and with his chema, his anger, he punches someone. Yeah, b'shas meriva. Shekol elu misaknin hein etzo yitzran hara. That this is like a tikkun yetzer hara. It fixes the yetzer hara. The anger, the expression of the anger fixes the yetzer hara. The anger also actually fixes the yetzer hara a little bit, but the expression of the anger fixes the yetzer hara. That's the lashon of the Rambam. Masaknin hein etzo yitzran hara. It fixes the yetzer hara. The inyan of anger is, well, let's just describe it in human terms, and then we'll try and fit in the Hasidic and Kabbalistic terms. That the inyan of anger is that you have a definition of yourself. Yeah, your lower self, your animal self, is from Klipa and Sitra Achra, as we know. What's the purpose of Klipa and Sitra Achra? To give us Bechira, to give us another alternative, to give us an alternative to Avodah Shlolem, which we're meant to not choose. So the whole MO of the Sitra Achra is to be and to solidify my being. Once my basic survival is taken care of, now the Yetzer Hara, the Nefesh Bahamas, whatever you want to call it, the ego, is intent on solidifying my sense of self. So we can look at that as a wall around us. Yeah, that's called our malchus. Our malchus is our sense of self. That's our sense of self. Oh, I need to bring another pasuk. 1 moment. Yeah, so the pasuk in Tilim, in Sadi Gimel Amud pasuk Aleph, Adonai Malach Geus Lavesh. We know, everyone knows this one, yeah? Hashem was king, or he reigned, whatever. Geus Lavesh, he wears gaiva. Geus, he wears. Lavesh Adonai Ois his Azah. He wore like strength, which he strengthened himself in. Aftikon tevo bal timoit. Even he made strong the world, bal timoit, that it wouldn't topple, wouldn't fall over. Yeah. The inyan of Gaiva, Malchus and Gaiva are connected completely with each other. That's our external. That's where our sense of self, so to speak, comes into. It's not that Malchus itself doesn't have any Gaiva. Malchus itself is completely empty, but it's the Kli that receives everything from above, and that's where the sense of self really, that's the connection between Gaiva and Malchus. Yeah. So our Malchus could be called, in a sense, our Gaiva. That's the surrounding wall that we erect around ourselves. Those are all the identifications that we have, all the definitions, all the things that make us who we are, all the things that we can't compromise on. Now, anger, the way anger works is that when that wall that you could also call your covered, yeah, maybe in a more easy way to understand it, when that wall is breached or penetrated in some way, that sense of diminished self causes an angry reaction. Now, what the anger is doing, the purpose of the anger is the anger turns the object of the anger into something more otherly. It turns it into an enemy. Now, that could be the guy who cuts you up on the street, but that could also be the weather when you wanted to go on a camping trip with your friends. It could also be, the injustice of the wealth distribution that just drives you nuts, because that's how you define yourself. That's part of your definition, is I'm like a really just guy. So when I see this imbalance of wealth, it makes me angry, because I feel that that's diminishing who I am. That's breaking my wall around me. You with me? So what the anger does is the anger basically turns the other into an enemy, into more other. And as we said before, what that does is, so to speak, that's like putting a wall around another. And that wall that I erect around the other, just like if I was to make you put a wall up, or I fenced in your garden and we live next door to each other, is your fence ends up completing my fence. So by me making you more otherly, by me making the other person an enemy, by making him more otherly, I'm, so to speak, separating myself from him, which is like conceptually putting a wall around him. And it's that wall that replenishes the breach in my cupboard that he caused, or it caused. You with me? Yitzi, you don't get that? Your cupboard, yeah, could be compared to a wall. Yeah? Your sense of self could be compared to a wall around you. That's, by the way, why Avraham had a tent with no walls, because he was beyond this. He became Mamash Ish Elokim. So we've got these walls around us. That's who I am. That's my sense of self. Yeah. Now, a guy cuts me up in the road. How dare you? This is my lane. It's my life. You just endangered. Yeah. And you're cutting up in front. How dare you do that? You diminish me. Conceptually, that's like smashing a hole in my wall. And that's why I'd get more angry if somebody like jipped me in business, because that would be a much bigger hole. Whereas if he just cuts me up in the wall, it's a less of a breach, yeah? But I'm not going to get into road rage. That's the whole thing itself. So that dent in my cupboard is not really a dent in my cupboard. It's a breach in my cupboard. It's a pesach. It's a breach in the wall. Now, the anger is a reactive mechanism that my ego uses to replenish that breach in that wall. Immediately the wall opens, and the ego automatically now says, it's like, red light going off, breach in the wall, quick, let's finish, let's be mushling that hole. So he says, he gets angry, which means he turns the event, the circumstance, the place, the weather, the person into an enemy, meaning I put a wall around that person, conceptually, and that wall around that person, so to speak, is mashlim. It completes the breach that happened in my wall, and now I feel, I'm okay. I'm protected again. My sense of self has been restored. That's how anger works.
But you still are breached, right? You're saying your own wall is still open. You just put a wall around them.
Yeah, but because they're like your next door neighbor, so to speak, that wall fills in, just like if we're next door neighbors and you put up a fence for your garden, you've put up a fence on my garden. You understand? We're sharing the fence. So when I put the fence around him, that conceptual fence now is filling in the broken part of my fence. That's how it works. That's what anger is. Anger is a mechanism that I use to restore my kavod or my malchus, however you want to say it. That's what anger is. Okay, so let's see this because it's amazing. It's amazing when we plug it into the Ribbono Shel Olam. That, what do we mean by malchus shemayim? And malchus shemayim and kavod, it's all the same thing. That's why bruch, shame, kavod, malchus, soile, lam, shame, kavod, malchus. They're not mamish the same thing, but they're all in the same vein, same inyan, etc. Yeah, same bechinas, different bechinas of the same inyan. What's Hashem's malchus? How do we translate the word malchus in 2024?
Company.
Yeah, but the better. You're right. But what's the better word? You're right. But there's a better word.
Corporation.
Organization, corporation. Organization is corporation is the same. Is also good. That's even maybe better actually. But yeah, that's good. Organization, corporation, company. That's what Hashem's malchus is. That's what a malchus is. Bichlal. It's an organization. That's what you are. You are an organization. You don't stop where your body ends. You've got a whole thing going on. You've got businesses and family and an extended network. You've got loads of you. You've got all kinds of different things that belong to you. You're the CEO of a varying size organization. That's what you are. You're running an organization. Every human being runs an organization. Some people bigger ones, some people smaller ones. The Ribbono Shel Olam's organization is called Olam Hazeh. Malchus Shemayim means that the whole world is working in concert, in cooperation with Ribbono Shel Olam. So I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. Anybody who's watching this or listening to it without the screen, unfortunately, you're just going to have to take my word for this. So right now, what I'm showing on the screen is something that I made a little while ago, which basically shows you the Malchus Shemayim. So the way it's meant to be is that you've got the Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the very top of the food chain, so to speak. He's the boss. Yeah. Under him is Melech Mashiach. Yeah. Then under Melech Mashiach is Yisrael, nation of Yisrael. Then you have all the other nations. So we're going to go down the middle path, yeah? And this is how we're going to see. Has anyone seen this before? You saw this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go through it again because it's very interesting. So under Mashiach and Yisrael will be all of the nations of the world. So we're just going to go down the middle line, okay? So under the United States of America, you've got the Department of Defense, Department of Health, we'll go with Department of Commerce. Yeah, the Department of Commerce now, you've got things like Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, Apple, Amazon. Yeah, we'll go with Alphabet. So Alphabet's made of Waymo, Google, Mind. We'll go with Google. Made of Android, Gmail, YouTube, Waze, Google Ads. We'll go with YouTube. Yeah, technicals, but it keeps going down and down to departments, faculties, units, teams, resources. Yeah. And the resources now, we've got a bunch of people that make up the resources. We've got Jenny, Tom, Gary, Sandra, Stephen. I made those names up. Yeah. Now, Gary breaks down further into biological systems. So we've got skeletal system, muscular system, digestive system, nervous system, cardiovascular system. So we'll go with the digestive system, which is made of a stomach, intestines, mouth, colon, pancreas. We'll take the mouth. The mouth is made of teeth, palate, tongue. So we'll take the tongue, made of taste buds, palpi, muscular structure. We'll take the taste buds. Down, keeps going down, down, down. You can see this until we get down to electrons, and I'm sure that's not the end of it. Yeah, it breaks down into more pieces. So basically, when this is Malchus Shemayim. Let me just unshare. Yeah? Malchus Shemayim is Hashem's organization. So your whole sense of self, yeah, that is just a moshel for Hashem's Malchus Shemayim. And that's what's called Gaius Lavesh. He wears Gaiva, Gaius Lavesh. Yeah, that's his whole system. His whole system. Now, what makes Hashem angry? We say it every day. There's only one thing that makes Hashem angry. Not when
Mara said Avodah Zarah.
which is Avera. Avera, Elohim Acherim, which is all Avodah Zarah. All Avera is Avodah Zarah. Yeah, which means you've got elements of the Malchus that are not coordinated or aligned with the Malchus. There's a breach in his Malchus. You with me? That's what Avodah Zarah is. It's exactly what Avodah Zarah is, and that's the Tzemach Tzedek has a whole mimer for on Tshuva where he describes like a break, like an Avera, like a puncturing of a vein and blood spritzing out, and the Chetzonim chap onto that energy because it's meant to be a closed system. So Hashem's Malchus, his organization, everything needs to be aligned. Everyone needs to be completely in it. Everyone's in, mamash. They've got no agenda other than the Rabbeinu Shloim's organization. Doing an Aveira by definition is an element of that organization becoming unaligned, having developed its own agenda, which we've said many times. When a cell develops its own agenda, we understand what that is. So now the anger, as we said, anger is a mechanism, a kind of reactive mechanism that brings Shleimus back to the Malchus. Your Malchus, being your covered, got broken by the guy cutting you up in the road. The reaction to that is anger that replenishes and brings back that wall, that gives me that sense of shleimus again, brings things back in line, brings the organization back in line. So too by the Rebbeinu Shloim. See, when the Yidden are unaligned and we're Oivdei Avodah Zarah, Chas v'shalom, we're doing things that we shouldn't be doing Aveiros, Hashem gets angry. Now that materializes in this week's Parsha, the wild animals and the venomous snakes and the plagues and all of this stuff is kind of by the way. All of that is just Hashem's anger. It gets manifest in all different kinds of ways. Like, when someone cuts you up in the street, lahavdil, when someone cuts you up on the road, your anger will manifest in a different way as if your kid, takes a black marker and does your car over or something. Yeah. Now what happened? This is really a beautiful thing because the actual tshuva, now that causes tshuva. But what causes tshuva? This is very important. So you would think that what causes the tshuva is you're getting beaten up now. Hashem's beating you up, so to speak. So you're like, Hashem, stop beating me up. That's not really tshuva. That's just, tshuva means I'm returning to you, Rebbeinu Shalom. If I can't take the pain because you're beating me up, I'm not returning to you, I'm returning to me. Stop hurting me. Stop hurting me. That's not tshuva. Tshuva is Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm ready to come back to you. And that's what the Baal Tanya says here. He describes it amazingly. When a person does Aveiros, yeah, he finds himself, it says like this. One second. Yeah, when a person does Aveiros, he finds himself, on a spiritual level. It's like he's in an Eretz Efer V'Tzia, a barren and parched land. He's he feels infinitely far from the Rebbeinu Shalom. And because of that distance, he wants to come back to the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's exactly what we just said before. You put a wall around that wall that Hashem erects around us, so to speak, when we do Aveiros, causes a thirst to come back to him. That's the tshuva. And we become aligned back with Ribbono Shel Olam. So it's not the actual pain of the makkahs that causes that causes the tshuva. It's the richok, it's the distance that though the smiting, so to speak, is just a gilui of, just a revelation of. But it's that distance, it's that wall that Hashem has put around us that is causing us, like the Balatanya says, to long and to thirst for him. That's tshuva. I want you, Ribbono Shel Olam. Not I just want the pain to end. I want you. So the Ribbono Shel Olam's anger, which by the way is called chema, yeah, which is lashon choma, which means wall, same word, is exactly the same mechanism, or I should say, our anger is a petty symbol of his cosmic anger, of his perfect anger, which is to bring us back to realign us back with reality, back into his organization. That's exactly what anger is. So anger is not some kind of nakama. It's not like it's not a revenge or a teaching you a lesson. It's a mechanism to bring reality back in line with reality, to bring manifested reality back in line with ultimate reality, with essential reality. That's what it is, and that's exactly how it works with us, just on a petty level. And now we can answer up. Gabriel, you missed the beginning, but there's the pasuk just before the tochochas, the klalas. We said is Ani Adonai Leheichem, I am Hashem your God. Asher hoitzeisi eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim mi'oz lehem avodim. That I took you out of Eretz Mitzrayim from being avodim. Ve'eshbor moitois ulachem. And I broke the moitois ulachem. We explained that the moitois, the shore wears an oil, yeah? And you put the ropes in these holes, and the holes were never exactly the right size for the ropes. Moitois is like plugs. They're like little pegs that you stuffed in to the empty space in the hole to make the reins taut on the yoke. Yeah? You hear what we just spoke? You hear what we just said after the hesbon, what we just explained? I'm breaking those moitois, the things that plug up the holes. I'm breaking them. And then why? V'oilech eschem koimamias, so that you walk with a kuma zakufa. The whole inyan of coming back to a kuma zakufa, the inyan of Geus Lavesh. And that's what he says in the Pasuk in Tehillim. Adonai malach Geus Lavesh. Yeah, Shem reigned. He wears Geus. Yeah. Lavesh Adonai ois is azor. When everything is great and he's strong and it's all good. Yeah. Listen. Aftikon tevel pal timoit. The tevel, the world will be sustained. Bal timoit, without moitois, without those plugs that are necessary to fill in the holes. Aftikon tevel bal timoit, that the world will be established without needing to plug in the holes. There won't be any anger left in the world. That's the final. That's what we're getting to. When everything is done and the holes are all filled up, and Geus Lavesh, the whole system, the whole Malchus Shemayim, from the Melech Malchei HaMalachim Kodesh Baruch Hu to the quarks and the muons and the neutrinos are completely aligned with Ribbono Shel Olam. And then we scream out Bruch Shein Kavod Malchuso Le'olam V'ed Mamash loud, because right now it's not b'shleima, so we say it quietly. But it will be very soon, mamash, the whole thing. Imagine, I mean, even just thinking about like Amazon, yeah? Think about Amazon, like how many bits are aligned. I mean, think about my teeny weeny little business. It's like basically just me and someone else who run my business, yeah? It's already kind of complicated when it's all aligned, there's computers and all kinds of other stuff going on, yeah? I mean, think now about Amazon, what that would mean, the majesty of such a thing, and then take that to the cosmos mamash, to manifest reality. The whole thing, from the Melech Malchei Malachim Kodesh Baruch Hu, down to every single quark and neutrino and muon and every what do they call it, subatomic particle, yeah, all aligned with Ratzon Hashem, then we'll be screaming, and there won't be any more moitus, there won't be anything to plug in, there are no holes, no anger. We'll just be enjoying the organization. The Bon Shalom can sit there and go, finally, Baruch Hashem. Okay, should be zeicher to see an end of all divine anger, and just to remember that it's just it's a mechanism to bring reality back in line. And he's only angry because he loves us so much. Because you don't get angry when somebody annoys you, when somebody doesn't do what you want, and you're not close to them. You just cut them off. You don't get angry at them. You just have nothing to do with them. So his anger towards us is an anger of disappointment, an anger of frustration. It's not an anger of hatred, bichlal. It's the anger you feel towards your child. You ever had a child? This is a great thing to end on. Great Baruch Hashem. I just thought of this. When my kid, do you remember when I was in LA a couple of times ago? My kid had that terrible accident, and he snapped his leg. He literally snapped his leg in half. Yeah, I mean, you should see his leg now. It's all deformed, whatever. Yeah, because he was driving a forklift truck like a nut. You've had one of your children hurt themselves from being stupid. You don't know where to put yourself because you're angry at the child for hurting himself. It's because of your love for your child that you're angry at him, because he hurt himself. It's such a difficult thing to deal with. So my kid's lying there with a broken leg, and because of my rachmanus on him, I'm angry at him. Why did you do this to my child? That's Mamash Hashem's anger with us. Why are you doing this to my beloved children? He's saying to his beloved children. That's Hashem's anger. It's not an anger of hatred, chas v'shalom. It's an anger of love, mamash. It comes from love, and there's a famous story of the Mittler Rebbe, who this will really finish on. Sorry, one last little thing. A famous Chabad story from the Mittler Rebbe, where the Balatanya apparently was always the Baal Koireh, and for some reason or another, there was some kind of Shabbaton, and the Balatanya went off, and the Mittler Rebbe, his son, stayed in his shul, and they brought in a different Baal Koireh, and it was Parshas B'chukotai, and the Chazan read the I think it's B'chukotai. Where are the other klalas and Devarim? What's the other pasha? Kisava, yeah, maybe it was Kisava. Either way, anyway, so I think it was then, because it was before relatively soon before Yom Kippur. The Mittler Rebbe fell like deathly ill to the point where he wasn't able to fast that Yom Kippur. So it was Kisava, and they asked him, they realized and they said what happened, and he said because he heard the Tochochas. And they said to him, he was already a young man. They said to him, you've heard the Tochochas many, many times already, a couple of dozen times. He said, but when I hear my father read it, I didn't hear any Tochochas Bichlal. I just heard love. That was it. When this other guy came in, I fell ill for a month or so, to the point where I couldn't even fast on Yom Kippur. But that's only because we got it wrong. So we should read these Tochochas with a broken heart, not because we're scared of the pain of what's happening, because we feel Hashem's frustration with us. He's like, I've got a big plan, and I love you dearly, and I made myself dependent on you guys. I put all my eggs in your basket. Please come through me. Please stop making me do this to you. Please, I beg of you. Okay, B'ezrat Hashem.
Shmuel, that was so good. I hope anybody who's listening to this, including myself, as soon as you post it, got to listen to it again. It was really, really good. Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, Zayagazim, very good. Shabbos.
Shabbos.